Thank you, and may we have a pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, you may be seated. At this time, I will present any conflict of interest disclosures, and I want to see if anybody has conflict. David?
No, ma'am.
Jerry?
No.
Carol?
No.
Ken? No. Dr. Joe?
No.
Lou?
No.
Patty?
No.
Odessa, none. So, we will take a vote to pass no conflict of interest disclosures. We'll move on with our meeting. At this time, we will have recognitions by Mrs. Crystal Baker for the Employee of the Month.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We would like to recognize Prince Edward County's October Employee of the Month, Randall Cook. Randy has taken on the challenge of owning his position, supervision of the department he manages, and the facilities that the department maintains. Through his attention to detail, the Buildings and Grounds Department has significantly improved the appearance of all of our county facilities and instilled pride with the county staff, all of which has been noticed by the citizens we serve. This year alone, Randy has adeptly managed the replacement of the courthouse chiller and telephone system, replacement of the cannery boiler, upgrading of signage at the county facilities, improving parking lots at county facilities, and renovation of the courthouse lawn. Randy is dedicated and committed to making Prince Edward County and its buildings shine with a positive attitude and a constant smile. Thank you, Randy, for all you do.
He did.
I need to make sure I can see everybody. Okay, I'm using you and Dr. Gertz. Yes, thank you. Okay.
Read it, you should. All right. Good job, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, that's the door now.
While Mr. Stanley is coming forth, the time has arrived for our public participation. Public participation is an opportunity for you as citizens to give input on relevant issues, not the subject of a public hearing, and is not intended as a question and answer period. Before we actually start our public participation, we have a draft amendment to public participation protocol. And Mr. Stanley, would you present that for us?
Yes, ma'am. So, as the board is aware, effective October 3rd, 2022, the judicial order for mandatory masking in the Prince Edward County Courthouse was lifted. And given that remote participation by our citizens has become a permanent part of our public input process, staff is recommending an amendment to the board's public participation protocol to memorialize this new operating procedure. Attached in your packet is a draft amendment for the board's consideration. And basically, it reads, the bullet reads, citizens may also participate remotely by using the call-in information 1-844-890-7777, access code 390313. Citizens participating remotely are asked to pre-register by calling the county administrator's office prior to 4 p.m. the day of the meeting, but they're not required to do so. And that's the only change, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, may I have approval of this? A motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been motion and second that we approve, and I will read this again. Citizens may also participate remotely by using the call information 1-844-890-7777, access code 390313. Citizens participating remotely are asked to pre-register by calling the county administrator's office at 434-392-8837 prior to 4 o'clock the day of the meeting. May we call for a vote at this time? Cannon?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
And Odessa Pride. So it's so moved that we approve that. Okay, at this time, do we have anyone who would like to publicly participate? We don't have anyone who is signed up. Do we have anybody online or in the audience? Okay, there's nobody online, nobody has signed up. So we move on to supervisory participation, starting with David.
Just like to thank everybody for being here. It's mighty nice to see you here in the public, and this is your way to let us know sometimes what's going on. Thank you.
Jerry?
Thank you for being here as always, and I think the public participation remotely is just another avenue to get citizen feedback and input.
Carol?
I'd like to thank everyone and welcome you here this evening, and any input that you have, let us know about it. Thank you again.
Cannon?
Yeah, thanks for coming, and keep the comments and questions coming.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes, I thank you for your participation. Besides, the Prince Edward County Elementary School is fully accredited. I thank Dr. Johnson for leadership. I thank the parents to send their children to public schools. I also thanks for students' diligent study. Thank you.
Okay. Lou?
Glad to see everyone. Hope we have a good meeting, and we're always here to help. Glad to hear from you anytime. Thank you.
Patty?
Yes, good evening. It is truly wonderful to see people out and to really see you with no mask. So welcome and enjoy the meeting.
I attest to the same comments. Happy to see everyone here. We are enjoying this little nippy weather. As I look at the news, I see Farmville is in the 30s in the mornings. So we are really enjoying it, and we're glad you're here. Next, we will have the consent agenda. Everybody's looked over that? Any comments, questions? Is there, excuse me,
Make a
Dave?
motion that it be approved as presented.
Second,
It's been motioned and approved as presented. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
yes.
Odessa? Yes, and Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Yes. So moved. Moving on to item number 9, Community Partners Update with Maria Almond, Health District Director, Piedmont Health District.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
It is wonderful to see all of you again. Thank you for allowing me to take a few moments to update you on the Piedmont Health District, which serves not only Prince Edward County, but 6 of the surrounding counties around us. During my first 2 presentations to the board in my tenure as the district director, I centered on our COVID risks and the steps we were taking to address the pandemic. I can now say with very good confidence that we have moved to a much better existence with the virus. We have vaccines. 80.6% of our seniors are vaccinated in this county, which is wonderful. We have treatment, and most of us are no longer COVID naive. COVID will continue to be a challenge to our health, and in fact, despite the steep reduction in cases, the U.S. is seeing and has continued to see since April 400 deaths a day. That's equivalent to stroke as a leading cause of death. This will continue to be with us. We will work harder to get treatments earlier to people, and we will continue vaccinations as necessary. Thankfully, this is not the same existential threat that we had in 2020. Communicable diseases will continue to be with us. In the last month, we've heard about monkeypox. We have no cases in our district. We are vaccinating. Polio, Ebola. These are real threats. The health district monitors all of them, even things that may seem very, very distant. We're always having conversations. We're always planning. And there is annually the need to address the flu. Please get your flu vaccines. They're important. They still are important. But vaccinations, sanitation, advances in medical sciences, they keep us remarkably healthy. And the health department works on all of these fronts. We continue to provide regulatory enforcement of health rules in restaurants, hotels, campsites. We ensure our water is protected when septic systems are needed. Wells are dug safely. We continue to provide comprehensive family planning to serve low-income individuals and those without insurance. We house the WIC program to help mothers and their children in those first very, very important months. And increasingly, we are collaborating with our community partners, with Centra, with STEPS, with Piedmont Senior Resources, our nonprofits, our faith communities, our schools, and with all of you. We are working to reimagine what a healthy Prince Edward County looks like and how to get there. In the next month, we're going to be reviewing a process that we undertake every 3 years. We've done the community health needs assessment, and the work of several communities has been looking on how we implement those, the next step of plans. With Centra, we're going to be addressing mental health, access to care, particularly primary care, transport, housing, food security. We're going to figure out how to remove some of those roadblocks to change. These are the same issues that honestly come up every 3 years. We want to move those needles, and I think we're in an incredibly good place with our collaboration in this community. In some ways, technology, Zoom, the pandemic has actually brought all of those groups in closer collaboration. And I hope that we will nurture and nudge our community towards better health. I may be back here asking you to assist with some of those solutions. So as one of our Eastern Health Districts says, from babies to rabies, we have you covered.
All right.
Excuse me, Doctor, but before you go to your seat, I made a tragic mistake, and I didn't mean to do that. I forgot to address you as Dr. Allman, and that means a lot to me.
Yes.
So please forgive me.
No worries.
Thank you.
Does anyone have other
Any
questions?
question for Dr. Allman? Thank you much for an excellent report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
At this time, we'll have Highway Matters. Mr. Scott Frederick could not be here, so Sarah, do you have any?
No, ma'am, but I'm happy to record any.
Okay. Any board members with the highway issue that you would like to present, and Sarah can pass that on to Scott? I must say that Scott attended my town hall meeting. Scott was the longest on the meeting. They always have highway concerns. And I tell you, if you have not been down Highway 15 lately, headed toward Keysville, I sat there, I know, 25 minutes today. I forgot to go the other route. So they're working on that road diligently. And Mr. Stanley, when are they supposed to have that completed? What date are they looking at?
I think they're looking to have the project complete by the end of this week. I think the 14th was the date they've used, so it should be substantially complete. And a lot of what they had to pull out was tear out the old asphalt.
Okay.
From when the new bypass road kind of along in front of the pig and the store right there at Kingsville. So hopefully that'll be wrapped up this week.
I've never seen so much traffic.
Temporary road.
Yeah, okay. And the complete project, what are they looking at?
No, it'll be complete.
Oh, everything complete?
Everything should be complete.
Yeah, there were ways to go.
Maybe some striping and a few things left, but
Okay.
I know they're trying to wrap everything up by the end of October, so.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And I know they called for rain Thursday, so we'll see how that goes. At this time, it is not 7:30, so we're going to move to item 12, personal property tax relief for 2022. And who addresses that? That's not you, Mr. Stanley, is it?
That is me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
That's me, the whole schedule.
143. Yeah, we are ahead.
So at this time, we are still waiting on the Commissioner of Revenue's office to enter all the vehicles into the county's computer system so that our IT consultant can compute our personal property tax relief, percentage of tax relief for the Commonwealth for 2022. Last year, the percentage was 30.50% of assessed value based upon guidelines provided by the Commonwealth. The Commissioner requested and received an extension for the filing and delivery of the 2022 personal property and real estate books until November 5th of 2022. Due to the timing of the tax billing and the December 5th due date, the county will be in a crunch to compute the percentage of tax relief. I did talk to our IT consultant today. He had talked to the Commissioner earlier in the day, and they feel like by next week he should be able to run the numbers. But I think that means we are going to have to look at a special meeting, possibly the 25th or sometime that week, if that date doesn't work for folks. As you know, getting that done and getting the tax bills out is critical. And so we want to try to make sure that we're not the delay in our billing company getting those tax bills out. But so I would say if we could tentatively set October 25th. Sarah, do we want to recess or call it as a special?
Recess,
We'll recess at the end then, okay. In addition, the county and the board may want to consider a further reduction of the tax assessment percentage due to the estimated increases in vehicle values. As discussed during the budget process, citizens will see a 20 to 30% average increase in vehicle values for the 2022 tax year. Prince Edward County already uses the most conservative or lowest assessment rate of clean loan value. And there's a sheet in your packet that shows some of the estimates and how some of the other counties are looking to offset those rates. The board elected to use the estimated increase to offset the budget increase this year, but agreed to come back and reevaluate once we had the total assessment into the computer system. For the FY 22-23 year, we've estimated $6,562,500 revenue, which was an increase of about 25% over FY 21-22. So that information is in your packet if you have any questions. And again, I will be, as soon as I get the information from our IT consultant and from the commissioner, we'll be coming back to you. But we'll need to hopefully reconvene the meeting on the 25th for reconsideration of that item.
Okay, so do we have to act on a motion of that name?
I think we can recess at the end.
Just, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, we still have quite a few minutes before our public hearing. Let's move to the county real estate reassessment, page 147.
In your packet, there's attached for the board's consideration is a draft resolution that will change the county's reassessment cycle for real estate from a 6-year to a 4-year cycle. Section 58.13252 of the Code of Virginia reads, there should be a general reassessment of real estate every 4 years, or if determined by a majority vote of the county's Board of Supervisors, every 3 years. Any county that has a total population of 50,000 or less may elect by majority vote of its board members to conduct its general reassessment at either 5 or 6-year intervals. As the board is aware, due to the volatility in the real estate market, the county's assessed values have already dropped about 85% of market value after the 21 assessment. So basically, average home values have increased about 15% over top of what your assessment is. Moving to a 4-year cycle will help to lessen the gap between the assessed values and current market values. This was a recommendation from our Board of Equalization when we went through the process here a couple years ago. And I'm asking for it at this time because we just went through a RFP process with the Commonwealth Regional Council wherein we're having to line up firms. We would have to start our field work next summer to be complete and ready for the January 1 of 2025 reassessment, which will be that 4-year cycle. Put a copy of the resolutions in the packet, and unless you want me to, I'll pass on reading it, but I'd be happy to if you would like me to.
We can peruse it. David?
I was saying, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adopt this.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and second that we amend the county reassessment timeline and move to a 4-year reassessment cycle. Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Odessa, yes. So moved. Okay, our economic development and tourism report. Is Chelsea, you ready? Okay, thank you.
You're getting spoiled. I get to go early.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
On pages 149 through 151 and on page 181 of your packets, you will find my report from which I'll provide some highlights. In the last couple of months, we've spent a lot of time assisting with both economic development and tourism grant applications. We hope to give updates on these applications as they move along in the process. One grant application we assisted the Chamber of Commerce with submitting was for the Microbusiness Marketing Leverage Program. And through this program, the Virginia Tourism Corporation offers grant funding to spur economic activity and travel across the Commonwealth to support small businesses and drive shoulder season visitation. And shoulder season is from September through May. Last month, my staff had the opportunity to participate in a collaborative meeting and tour of Twin Lakes State Park. The park rangers briefed us on their historic resources, facilities, and recreational opportunities. We also discussed possibilities for tourism-related promotional collaborations. We recently finalized finishing, refreshing, reprinting our tourism brochures that you have in front of you. They promote the best of what we have to offer in Prince Edward County and in the town of Farmville. And these brochures are being mailed by our staff to nearly 90 different visitor centers and welcome centers across the state. So we're really happy about that. Welcome centers, by the way, are located on the Virginia interstate highways, and these brochures will be available to travelers and tourists alike. And lastly, we will host our first Prince Edward County Tourism Council meeting on Wednesday, October 19th at 9 at the Visitor Center. The council will advise, support, and advocate for tourism-related policies and programs to market and promote the county. And so we are looking forward to working with this new council. And I'll try to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Chelsea, it's a beautiful brochure.
Very nice.
Yeah, we spent a good amount of time working on it. We were able to get all the artwork done in-house with our marketing assistant, Lucas. He's also the one who created the new logo that was sent to you all.
Right. It's so inviting. It's very nice.
Glad you all are satisfied.
Any other questions or comments for Chelsea?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's see, go on to Cheryl in finance.
Okay.
Actually, Cheryl's not here.
How about Operation Greenlight?
Yeah, Operation Greenlight, that
We
works.
will move to item 16, Operation Greenlight.
The National Association of Counties is inviting the nation's counties, parishes, and boroughs to join the recognition of Operation Greenlight for Veterans. This program encourages partnering communities to light up their courthouses with green lights to signify appreciation for the sacrifices of our United States military personnel. Greenlight for Veterans will be celebrated from November 7 through November 13 in conjunction with Veterans Day. Citizens are also encouraged to display a green light in a window of their place of business or residence during this time to show their gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. Additionally, to show support, counties are asked to pass a resolution declaring participation in Operation Greenlight, and a draft resolution is attached for the board's consideration.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass the resolution supporting Operation Green Light for veterans.
Okay, it's been moved in second that the Board of Supervisors approve the Operation Greenlight resolution, and that we direct the county administrator to cause the courthouse to the illuminated green for the week of November 7th through November 13th, and that we also promote and encourage our citizens and businesses to place a green light in a window in the honor of and to support our nation's veterans. Cannon.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Patty.
Yes.
Lou.
Yes.
Dr. Gurr.
Yes.
Odessa Pride. So moved.
Madam Chair, we've got a few minutes before our public hearing time. I'll go ahead and handle the finance report stuff.
Okay.
The first item is the transient occupancy tax budget. Basically, we've got monies that were collected last year that has to be used for tourism, and basically would put them over to a special projects fund for use on tourism projects at a later date.
Okay, could I have a motion?
Move that the board approve the appropriations as outlined.
Second.
It's a motion second that we approve the appropriations as outlined. Cannon.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Patty.
Yes.
Lou.
Yes.
Dr. Gurr.
Yes.
And Odessa, yes.
Next,
So moved.
next item is the landfill abatements, and I will say I had at least one that I asked Cheryl to pull off this list, but the list before you is a list of accounts from landfill that are 3 years or older with no success in collecting. The total of the accounts is $2,084.70. The recommendation of staff is abating these charges as they're unable to collect due to library retention requirement of retainment of tickets that would provide evidence of the invoice. A lot of these sometimes are people that are out of business or unable to locate. If you've got anybody we want to strike off the list and leave them on, we can do that as well. But
So moved. I think we brought this up one time before.
Yeah.
Second.
So it's been motion and second to approve writing off the charges. Patty.
Yes.
Lou.
Yes.
Dr. Gurr.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
And Odessa, so moved.
last item here is FY '23 appropriation from Sheriff's Office. They received a check from the Virginia Farm Bureau for $10,086.69 for motor vehicle accident. The board is being asked to appropriate the funds back to the Sheriff's Department vehicle repair item. I believe that vehicle has been repaired. Maybe. So
So
at
moved.
this point, it'll cover those costs.
Second.
Okay, so moved in second that the board approves the FY '23 budget supplement presented and appropriate the same funds. Dr. Gurr,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Odessa, yes. So moved. Thank you. I think our time is arrived.
Madam Chair, there's one more appropriation to take back.
Okay.
It's a request from the Prince Edward County Public Schools requesting appropriation in the amount of $20,991.58 for the school operating budget. The funds are a combination of state reimbursement grants, no county match required. And I see Dr. Johnson and Ms. Jones in the back if there are any questions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved that we approve those appropriations. Patty,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Dr. Gurr.
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Odessa. So moved. Thank you. Okay. The time has arrived for us to begin our public hearing. And the public hearing to be considered is a request by Benjamin and Sadie Stolfus for a special member. If you would present.
Yes, Madam
Thank
Chairman,
you.
members of the board, good evening. This application again is filed by Benjamin and Sadie Stolfus for a special use permit to operate a commercial campground on tax parcel number 020-9B-22, which is located next at their home site, which is 10064 Prince Edward Highway, Prospect, Virginia. This is located in a A1 agricultural conservation district, and this use requires a special use permit. This hearing was duly advertised in the Farmville Herald on September 28th and October 5th editions, and duly advertised. The adjoining property owners were notified. You have a letter, sample letter in your packet. I have received no comments either for or against this application from the public. The Planning Commission held their advisory hearing on September 20th, where no one spoke in opposition. They recommended approval of conditions. There are 20 conditions in your packet, forwarding the request to you all. The applicant is here tonight and has agreed to these conditions, and I'd be glad to answer any questions for you. Just so your knowledge, this is a RV campground. They have a recreational vehicle on site now with a possible 2 pad sites, which are next to it. So it'd be a total of 3 campsites, which is reflected as a limitation in the conditions, and also duration of stay is also limited in the conditions. Those were a couple conditions that the Planning Commission added to the staff recommended conditions after the hearing. So you'll note that. In addition, there's quiet times notated as well under the general section of the conditions. I'd be glad to answer any questions you all might have.
Okay, the ones who are requesting this, would they like to speak at this point? Would you have anything you'd like to say? Okay. Anybody else? Any comments, questions? No speakers? Okay, board, how do we feel at this point?
I move we vote to approve the project.
We gotta close it. We need to- Yeah.
Okay. We will close this public hearing.
I move that we vote to approve the project as recommended by the Planning Commission with the
Second.
conditions put in place.
Okay.
I'll second.
A motion has been made and second that we approve this with the different conditions and approve the special use. Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Okay, so moved and approved. Moving to item number 2 under public hearing, amendments to Chapter 10, Animals of Prince Edward County Code to provide for updates to keep it current with the Code of Virginia.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board.
Yes.
As I stated last month, I'm here in case you have any questions or need any clarification on this. But we have 3 amendments that we are seeking to make to our animal code. The first is to section 1010. It is a minor update. There is a state code that allows for us to have that ordinance. And in this amount of time, the state repealed the original code and then replaced it with just a subsequent one. And we just needed to reflect that in our update. The next update is section 1061 in regards to rabies clinics. In our county code, the old state code listed that we had to have one available to the citizens every year. The state has since changed that, and it is now a rabies clinic must be available to the citizens every 2 years. And so we're reflecting that change as well. And then in our section 10-100, which contains the dangerous and vicious dog subsections, our code mimics the state code. And the state has recently, over the course of the last few years, updated theirs. The most major change was they basically mimicked the vicious code to the dangerous code as it gained the most changes across the board over the last couple of years. And so we would just do the same, just to update those. If you're curious, the main changes now, anyone who is subject to that investigation must receive notification indicating to them that they are subject of a dangerous or vicious dog investigation. In that notification, it also notifies them that they are not allowed to dispose of the animal during the investigation unless by taking it to a veterinarian and having it certified that the animal has been euthanized, or by turning it over to the local animal control authority. In addition to that, it also stipulates now that there is a jurisdictional change where the incident occurred can apply for the petition, or if the person who owns the dog or the victim lives in a different jurisdiction, that is also now allowed if they were outside of this county.
Any discussion or questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
In September, you transferred 13 dogs and 2 cats to SPCA. So usually you don't want to incentivize those cats and dogs, right? You just surrender them to the SPCA.
We strive for every animal that comes into our shelter that is a viable animal that can go back out into a home. We strive to do so. And so by doing that, our main course of action is to go through a rescue, whether it is the SPCA or Humane Society. We are going to use them as they are our closest partners in that, as well as we have adoptions in the county. And so we did actually have a pretty good month in September. And when it comes to cats also, what we take in are going to be cats that we know will be good animals to send back out into the community for somebody as a viable pet that they can, take care of and love on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I will close the public hearing. We go from there.
Thank you.
Board, how do you feel?
I make a motion that we approve them as presented, Madam Chair, that they mimic the state code, especially with the vicious dog, and the other one is just more or less cleaning up. I would say it's a
Second.
Okay, it's been motion and second that we approve the proposed amendments of Chapter 10 with animals, especially the state code when it comes to vicious animals and so forth. Cannon? I'm sorry, why you doing you are. I'm sorry, Cannon. Carol?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
David?
yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Odessa? Yes. So moved. Going to our third,
Madam Chair, one quick
Yes.
question while we're on this. I was talking to Jerry earlier, I was reading this, I guess it was last night, the night before. Clarification. In the past, it was my understanding that the animal control officer worked for you at this point, but he actually works for the board, is that correct? And I'll tell you the reason why. Because the position was created and the animal control officer shall be appointed by the Board of Supervisors.
right.
Let me say this, that there are a number of positions, like zoning administrator. that, building official, the board appoints them to the position. They are under the hiring, firing, direct supervision of the county administrator's office.
Do we need to appoint him, is my question. Has he been appointed, or does anyone know, or?
Yes, sir. They're appointed because they, what's the term, Chris? They're, like Ariel is not a law enforcement officer, but her appointment by the board awards her the authority to do something, and the term isn't coming, because then she has to go and take an oath of office in the clerk's office, and it's,
That's what I was
she has
sworn.
special sworn authority, but not a law enforcement officer, but it is special authority.
That's what, I thought that's where that was.
Write
I
tickets,
just-
I think, is sheriff's.
Thank you, David.
Yes, ma'am.
Our last item on the public hearing, an amendment to the FY '22 county and school budget to accept and appropriate $1,449,338 of supplemental funding from the state school construction grant program entitlement as requested by 15.2-2507 of the Code of Virginia. There is no local match required. Anybody represent?
I move to approve the $1,449,000.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Public
sorry.
hearing closed. Any questions or comments or
I'm
whatever?
sorry. I'm
Before we take that. That's right, Dr. Gurr.
Now you're right.
Now you're good.
Dr. Gurr, you can go ahead.
Okay, I move to approve for the amount of $1,449,338, for the FY 2022 to 2023 school year.
Second.
Okay, it's a motion and a second that the board will wish to increase the FY '23 county budget and FY '23 school budget by $1,449,338 and appropriate same funds to enable the expenditure of the school construction funds. Lou?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Kenan?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
And Odessa, yes. So move.
Madam Chair, I know we have the superintendent here this evening, and while we have her here, put you on the spot, Dr. Johnson, but I know y'all have reached out to your staff, to families, to try to identify issues and items for the potential use of funds. And I know this is kind of, I'll say, one-time money. It was put into the state budget. The school system has to spend that money or encumber that money by June 30th of 2023. So
Yes.
y'all are looking at items that you can complete within the next 8-9 months, correct?
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Madam Chair, Board. So a few comments. Yes, we did have a survey. We put a survey out in our schools as well as our social media to get input from the public, as well as surveying our administrators and school personnel to determine how we can best spend this $1.4 million. It is for school construction. There are certain restrictions on the monies. So for instance, we cannot use the money for any sports facility, and we cannot use the money for any parking lots, for instance. But we did put that survey out. I shared this information with the school board last week, perhaps the week before. Our weeks run into each other at this point. But I can give you some idea of some of the comments that were made or some of the items without my glasses. Let's see. Bathroom renovations. So the suggestion is that we renovate the bathrooms in both the, well, I am saying in both the middle school and the high school, because we are still moving forward with the plan to renovate the elementary school, and we're still looking for funding for that. So everything that we do is for, with this money, this 1.4 would be for the high school and the middle school, unless it's something that can carry over to a renovation. So bathroom renovations, which include things like the touchless sinks, the touchless soap dispensers, let's see, repair the gymnasium floors in all of our schools, a PA system, public announcement system in all of our schools, including our auditorium. I'm choosing those things that had several hits. Door security at all entry points of all of our buildings. Improve HVAC systems in both our elementary as well as our middle school. And then we have things like, again, upgrade the PA system, renovate the high school auditorium, power washing, painting, and that's about it. Everything else is a duplicate. So I presented this information to our board and asked them to select 5. It was too difficult for them at the time to select 5 because there's so many things that need to be done. But one of the first things that we're going to do is really look into renovating the bathrooms and marquees. That was another thing, marquees to help us communicate better with anyone who is driving by. So a new marquee for each building as well as the school system itself. So those are some things that we have decided that we're going to start researching and working on. But all of the money must be spent, and the projects need to be completed by June 30th, 2023.
Dr. Johnson, something that has come up in my conversations with individuals, especially those who were attending volleyball games at the high school, and it was something about their windows that are in dire condition. They've been for so long, either painted across or broke. What's with it? I haven't been there in years.
We do have some of our windows, particularly in the high school, some of our windows leak. So that's something else that we would address. I haven't seen any broken windows or anything like that, no. But we do have some windows in the high school that
I think it was, general condition of the windows.
Yes, and so we would address those.
That would be great.
Yes. And we started a project 3 years ago, pre-COVID. We started replacing the doors in the high school to the classrooms so that they have that little slit that you can peep in or out, but they lock appropriately for safety. We used the money that we had at the time to replace as many as we could at the time, which also included our auditorium. But that would be another project that money's allowing, we would also continue to make sure that we have the right safety doors in our high school.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, Dr. Johnson, if the school spent the $1.449 million
Yes, sir.
during the next school year.
Yes,
So do you still want to pursue the extensive renovation for the elementary school?
Yes, sir. We absolutely do, because there are so many issues in our elementary school that need to be addressed, that this $1.4 million will not cover that really at all. All that would cover would be just a new roof, and you'd be putting a brand-new roof on a very old building that would still need some internal renovations for compliance sake, and OSHA and ADD, to make sure it's ADA compliant. So yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any others? Thank you so much, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
For that information.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The public hearing is now closed. Okay. Moving to our next item on the agenda, the county attorney's report. Ms. Terry Atkins Wilson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you see, we've continued to work on the ordinances, animal control, and we're still working on the waste ordinance. Continue to work on that. We're continuing to work on the road, the access road for the business park. Got the contract signed, and anyway, so continue to work on that. On a personal level, I have finally updated my billing to the county, and I apologize for the delay in doing so. had met and promised that I would get that done, and it finally is caught up. Do have September to bill you, but other than that, we're caught up. So I appreciate your patience and ability to do that. I'm open for any questions, concerns, anything that the board might have for me at this time.
I don't think so.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we will have our county administrator's report. Mr. Douglas Stanley.
Yes, Madam Chairman, members of the board, a few items I want to hit on. Again, we mentioned earlier, but effective October 3rd, our COVID policy for the court buildings in Buckingham, Cumberland, Prince Edward counties was changed. Here at the courthouse, screening continues for everyone before entry, but masks are now optional in all areas but permitted. And the judges have the right to determine policy when presiding over a specific court. Hurricane Ian, county staff reported no significant damage from the remnants of Hurricane Ian. It was interesting to note that the eye of what was left of the storm passed through Meherrin and crossed the county on its way out to the Atlantic. We're fortunate that it weakened significantly by that point. Courthouse lawn project, our subcontractor who's doing the landscaping is now on site, and over the next 2 weeks we'll be installing shrubs, trees, and sod, other landscaping. So the project should be wrapping up here in the next several weeks. We're hoping to have it completed substantially for trick or treat on the 31st. The Scope building, the county's received one bid for the purchase of the Scope building by last week's deadline, and that will be discussed in closed session. VDOT road projects on October 4th. I had the opportunity to ride the construction projects with Scott Frederick. Whispering Wood and Schoolhouse Road projects are 100% complete. Bolden Florinary should be completed in the next couple weeks. They still need to do a final grade and shoot the road with tar and chip, weather permitting. In addition, Reed Road, Washout Road, based on comments made at Dr. Pride's Town Hall meeting, there are about 9 houses currently on that road, and the road was in good shape the day we were out there, but we're continuing to look at opportunities and options for potentially upgrading that road in the future. Reminder that Cannery will have an open house or tour on October 18th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Space is limited to 30 participants. Anyone interested in attending can contact Stacy Taylor at 804-689-0410. The Ag Building, the parking lot at the Ag Building was resealed and restriped if you've been by there. Reassessment, of course, we approved the switch to a 4-year cycle tonight. Staff has worked with the Commonwealth Regional Council to put out an RFP for reassessment firms for the upcoming reassessment. By working with the CRC, we will not have to put out an individual RFP. CRC received a total of 3 proposals. 2 firms were interviewed on September 28th. I represented the county in that interview. And the recommendation is to engage 2 different firms, Wampler Eanes and Pearson Appraisal. And we'll ask the board to select a vendor in early ~23 so we can sign a contract and start field work around July 1 of 2023. Sandy River parking lot was also sealed and striped and completed this year, thanks to Randy Cook for helping to coordinate that. And this lastly, Fairground Road Development, the county's received an inquiry for a 64-unit manufactured home development on Fairground Road. The site is adjacent to the 5-county fairground. Previously, we received an inquiry about requesting a boundary adjustment into town limits. At this time, it does not look like they're planning to make that request. And the applicant is being referred to our joint town-county development review committee. That's all I have, Madam Chair, unless there are any questions.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If none, we'll move to item 19, VACO voting credentials.
Madam Chair, the board will wish to designate its voting delegate and alternate for the VACO annual business meeting coming up at the VACO conference. Copy of the information is in your packet. Traditionally, have y'all done the chair and vice chair?
Yes.
Correct.
If they're planning to attend.
If they're planning to attend. And I believe both are planning to attend.
I am. Okay.
So moves, keep
So
the
that-
status quo.
Second.
Yeah, that's good.
We don't need to vote anything, we just agree.
That's correct.
Well, that's good.
Lou, and you're definitely going.
Okay.
Okay. Any, committee reports and recommendations? Do we do those now?
Yes,
Anything
ma'am.
from properties committee?
So I'll let, you want to take properties since you were there and I wasn't?
The Properties Committee covered a lot of ground and still has a lot of items on its agenda. But there are two that the committee has asked that we bring forward to the board, for the full board for consideration. The first one being recommending to the full board that the county request to be included in Section 15.2-2159 of the Code of Virginia, which enables localities to establish a fee for solid waste disposal. I mean, you'll see that there are a number of counties currently that are enabled through that. This is, I'm going to say, similar enabling legislation as the sales tax that we had made last session of the General Assembly. So we have to actually go and ask the General Assembly to enable the board to do this, and then the board, after a public hearing, can levy a fee for the disposal of solid waste not to exceed the actual cost incurred by the county. And so with the board's approval, you would authorize the county administrator to make that request to our members of the General Assembly.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by the board that we authorize the county administrator to make a request to our General Assembly members to include Prince Edward County in Section 15.2-2159 of the Code of Virginia during the 2023 General Assembly. All those in favor? Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Kenneth?
Yes.
So moved. Thank you.
The second recommendation is the committee feels that it would be prudent to move everything solid waste forward at the same time. So pending the outcome of action by the General Assembly, they will continue to work on the solid waste, the redraft of the, or I'm going to say the comprehensive redraft of the solid waste ordinance. But at this point, they are recommending that the board table that pending the outcome of the General Assembly's action on our request. I don't think that requires any action. That's
Okay.
more of an explanation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, now, Finance Committee. Mr. Stanley.
Yes, ma'am. Sarah, were you able to type that up? Okay. I've got a handout coming to you.
Madam Chair, just while we're waiting, that, what we just voted on for the public's knowledge, that just allows us to, doesn't mean that we have to or that we will, it just only
Right.
gives us the
Ability.
ability to.
Exactly.
Puts the tool in your toolkit.
Correct.
Thank you.
We got this.
Thanks, Sarah.
So Madam Chair, I think we've got 3 items for consideration from the Finance Committee with a recommendation of approval. The first, I'm going to give you the easy one, which is the FY 23-24 budget schedule that's actually in the board pack. We've worked with the school system in setting up the schedule, so hopefully we have avoided any conflict dates, but at least everybody will have it well in advance and can get those dates on their calendar. So we need a motion to approve the schedule.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the schedule. Cannon?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
And Odessa? So moved.
Next item, which is the little handout that's blue. These are a couple sheets of a multi-sheet presentation that was made by ABM. ABM is a consultant for the juvenile detention facility. Basically, we're looking at about $2.8 million in needed improvements to primarily the HVAC system at the facility. That building is a little over 20 years old, and what we found is that most of our operating systems are either at a point of failure or nearing their end of life. And what we're looking at doing is to have ABM go in there and make the upgrades. And part of this is involved an energy efficiency audit to look at where we could save money, either things like LED light bulbs, low flow water fixtures, more efficient units, appliances, all those types of things. One of the things we've also found is that we've got equipment in the building that's not working properly, just because of its age. To pay for it, in the Piedmont Juvenile Detention Center, as well as the Piedmont Regional Jail for adults, is split between the 6 member localities for capital improvements on an equal basis. So we split our operating budgets based on usage. So if, Prince Edward may have more than a 1/6 number of inmates, therefore we pay a larger operational percentage, but on the capital side, we pay our 1/6 share. So one of the things that we're looking at on page 2 there is to look at making a down payment. The Finance Committee has recommended making a $150,000 down payment, which will reduce our annual fee for 15 years. This is a lease purchase agreement. Basically be $30,100 per year for our share of the rest of the improvements. Paying it down up front gets some of the interest cost out of it. I think it's kind of splitting the baby in the bathwater, but trying to get the cost down a little bit more affordable on an annual basis. Remember, we're trying to get 6 counties to kind of herding the cats to try to get everybody in agreement. But the recommendation is to take $150,000 of our ARPA funds and use to basically buy down Prince Edward County's share of these improvements that basically have to be done.
And the other counties were pretty much in agreement.
Pretty much, I think we've got a meeting next week where everybody's reporting back. So everybody, ABM came and spoke to our Finance Committee. They've been to talk to all the other counties. We're all going through that process right now. We also talked at our committee meeting. There is discussion around the state about closing some of the juvenile facilities to cut down on costs. But I think, Sheriff, I appreciate your letter. Ours, because it basically serves a 60-mile radius, we feel fairly comfortable that from a standpoint of proximity, ours will stay in operation. But the other thing is, too, we don't want our facility to go neglected and put ourselves in a position where it looks like it's on the chopping block. So the other counties will have to agree, but this is our recommendation, take care of our proportionate share of the cost.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been so moved in second that we approve this amount as stipulated. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
And Odessa, yes. So moved.
The last item from the Finance Committee is a request from building official Philip Moore. One of the tasks that I requested Philip to undertake upon taking over the role of building official was to review our fee schedule for plan review and inspections with the goal of trying to get our fees to cover the cost of services and put them in line with neighboring jurisdictions. Our building permit fees were last revised effective July 1 of 2009. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the CPI has gone up about 38% since they were last amended. Philip has prepared a thorough analysis. We spent about a half an hour this evening at the Finance Committee reviewing his presentation. In your packet is a copy of the last fee schedule that was approved back in 2009 and a copy of the proposed building fees. We've also got Philip here. Philip, why don't you come up to the podium in case there are any questions anybody has. I think probably the most significant, I think, is the per square foot change, both for residential and commercial, but it's a little bit heavier on the commercial side. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Much bigger increase on the commercial side. The residential, not as much, but there is an increase. One of the biggest differences is there's a minimum fee on the residential side that was not there before, in addition to the square foot charge. New structures for commercials, they maintain that same thing, but a much bigger per square foot charge. And we feel like this is the best way to try to cover the cost of the department as much as possible, to try to reduce the needs of taxes to help fund the department, to help offset those costs.
And Phil, compared to the other counties, this puts us more in line even with the neighboring counties, correct?
This does, puts us more in line with the neighboring counties. And we would be following suit with a couple of other localities that have already raised their rates.
Two things to point out. Number one, does not apply to buildings and structures inside the town of Farmville, which has its own fee structure.
Own fee structure.
And two, we have properties that are located in the enterprise zone, which one of the county incentives is to waive building, planning, and zoning fees. So in case that question comes up.
Yeah, it would not apply to those, and I think it actually helps you when you're making proposals showing what you're offering as far as the county. It shows that you're offering more incentives in respect. But yeah, it does not apply to enterprise zone properties.
There's a proposed motion to either approve it and set an effective date of October 15th, which would be Saturday, to give us time, to post the new fee structure and folks to be aware of it. And the second one is to table it if y'all want to discuss it further.
The Finance Committee was unanimous?
Yes.
I move.
Second.
It's been moved and second that the Board of Supervisors adopt the proposed building permit fee schedule as proposed with an effective date of October 15, 2022. All those in favor, Cannon,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Dr. Gurr,
Yes.
and Odessa, yes. So moved. Thank you so much. Any other items, Mr. Stanley,
Next
before we
is
go into closed session?
nothing until we go into closed.
Okay.
Motion.
Could I have a motion that the board moves to convene in closed session?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Second.
moved in second, 2.2-3711, a Code of Virginia disposition and acquisition of publicly held real property. David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Dr. Gurr,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
and Odessa, so moved. We now move to closed session.
session.
Second.
Back in open.
It's a motion second that we come out of closed session. Patty?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And Odessa, yes. So moved. Yes. Motion to adopt certification of closed session. Motion coming out of closed session as required by section 2.2-3712 by the Code of Virginia. I move that the Board of Supervisors certify to the best of each member's knowledge that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the public body. Could we have a vote? Could we have a second to this motion?
Yes, second.
Okay. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
And Odessa? So moved.
Madam Chair, I move that Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors accept the bid submitted in the amount of $101,000.79 by Karen Caton, and authorize the county attorney and the county administrator to sign necessary documents to sell the Scope Building located at 505 Griffin Boulevard, Farmville, Virginia, 23901, known at tax map number 23A7-76-4, and all the related documents of the closing.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and second that the Board of Supervisors accept the bid submitted in the amount of $101,079. All those in favor, Patty?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And Odessa, yes. So moved.
Congratulations to all.
We ready for that?
We've got,
Adjourn?
you've
We
got
got-
a couple
Oh, that's
of
right.
reports, there's the note in there, you've got animal control report.
Okay.
Building officials report, cannery report, CRC report, and Chelsea, we've already given her forest report. And just lastly, we want to recess the meeting to, you want to say 7 o'clock on the 25th?
The 25th.
That'd be 2 weeks to come back and talk about PPTRA. We can do earlier, but whatever the pleasure of the board is.
And what time is that again, Doc?
That's right.
I mean,
I'd say
Doug.
7 PM unless y'all wanted to meet earlier, but David, is 7 better for you?
It is. When? tell me.
25th. You got a conflict?
Dude, that's not gonna make it work.
Okay. The other thing to remember is, because of Election Day on the 8th, we have moved our meeting dates, is it Sarah, to the 10th?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes.
So just a reminder, of course, we'll be letting everybody know, but just make sure you mark your calendars.
Just passed out 2 flyers to 2 upcoming events. The board has historically, or I should say, board members have historically helped hand out candy during the Halloween parade on October 31st. So if you would like to do so, just let us know so we can, Randy's gonna set up tables and chairs. And he's talking to the contractor, hoping that it'll be neater and tidier than it is right now.
and the candy will be
We'll
presented to us? Okay. Sounds good.
So if you'd like to come down, be part of the Halloween.
Patty's gonna trick or treat.
No.
That's 1 o'clock, right?
What time is the flyer set?
1.
Yes, 1, looks like 4.
It's 4.
Is it 4?
Yeah, the downtown.
Okay.
45.
45, okay.
Yes. It hasn't been done for a couple of years, so this will be a
The
robust.
flyer says 1.
Yeah, it
And
looks
I
like a
do.
1.
It says 1.
That's why I asked.
No, but it says
Yes,
1
it's
o'clock.
1.
It says 1 on the flyer.
That's from the town of Farmville.
Yeah, I printed that right off the town website, so it is at 4, isn't it? It is at
4, yeah.
4.
It's hard to read, but it's.
It's just hard to read, I think.
It's a 4.
Oh, it's a
It's
4,
a
it's
four.
just faded. If you look really hard, you can see it.
Don't y'all let Patty get on the candy.
Barely can.
Okay, at this time, can I move for motion for adjournment?
Recess.
Recess.
Recess, I'm
So
sorry.
moved.
Recess until October 25th at 7 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
So moved and second. Don't have official vote. David?
Yes, ma'am.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cheryl? Cannon?
Yes.
Dr. Gurr?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Odessa? So moved. Enjoy your evening.